Woods Farm here. Just going to do a video on the tractor shed that I'm building. It's going to take me about a month, maybe 6 weeks, and that's just working, you know, a few hours here or there on my days off. The shed's going to be 12 feet by 32, but I think I'm probably going to start with a 12 foot by 24 foot section. I think the roof, the top edge of the roof is going to be about 10 feet, and then the peak will be up above that. I'm just going to do a pole barn construction. I've built a couple of structures around the farm like that. It's super easy to throw up. So yeah, this is where it's going to go. It's going to be it's going to have a door on each end. You see the tractor's parked there. You can see the barn door beyond, so it'll sort of line up with that barn door. And the idea is you'll be able to drive right in and through with the tractor. And it should be big enough to store it with the bush hog attached, or the snow blower. And then it's going to be a long, deep kind of building. And then off to the side, down the road, maybe next year, I'm going to build a couple of little lean-tos, kind of in an L shape, coming off the front, right where this pile of skids is. There's going to be at least 2 bays, probably 10 feet wide, and they're going to be for tractor implements, and depending on how large I make them, maybe even big enough to fit the Kubel wagon. So I'm just going to do some layout and dig some post holes today. Normally digging post holes is super easy on my property. It's pretty much sand and kind of a loamy, loose soil. However, the areas immediately around the barn, the driveway, and behind the house are very stony. I think the original, you know, back in the day, all the stones that they pulled out of the field, they kind of put in this area to kind of get a solid foundation. So it's actually very rocky in here. Maybe I'll get lucky, I don't know. But I think one of the hardest parts of this project is going to be digging the 10 post holes. So yeah, we'll get started. Okay, that's the basic layout. It's as square as I can get it. Don't think it's going to be perfect, but this is just a guide for where the post holes go. Once the posts go in, I'll start with the front two, and I'll start working down one edge, and I'll square those up with a line. As long as they're roughly on the inside of 12 feet for the width, and they're roughly spaced out 8 feet, it shouldn't be a problem. Well, there's the first post. September 15th. Must have been 30 plus degrees out, super humid today. And the digging was terrible. Anytime you're digging in a hole and you find a hinge and bricks, it's not good. So I'm just moving on to the back hole here in the corner. And that way I can run a line up on the top end of the posts, and I can line up the top, try to get it as straight as possible. Okay, there's the second post. This one's a little crooked. Just going to check it to make sure it's still more or less level, but just got to run 8 more. So I accounted for 2 bags of ready mix concrete per hole, but it's actually closer to probably 3. But I'm using rocks, throwing rocks down in the hole, and that'll help stretch the concrete. You can get stuff that sets fast, but this is just the cheap stuff. Okay, good enough. So this hole took 3 bags, but it's because I had to re-dig it and shift it over about 4 or 5 inches. So that was the issue. If you're careful and you dig your holes in the right spot and the right size, you can get away with 2. That's a good example. If you dig your hole right, this is only 2 bags of ready mix, and it almost came all the way to the surface. I threw a few rocks in, but the other hole it took 3. This is something else I'm doing this time. I'm painting the bottom with this tar kind of coating. I've noticed on some of my other pole barns that that's where it seems to start to rot out, is right where, you know, the grass and the moisture from the ground. So I'm hoping this will help. So this is the product that I'm using to paint the bottom of the poles. I like it because you can actually paint it on with a brush. You don't need a trowel. Some of the thicker stuff for roofing applications, you need a spackle or something to kind of like paint it on. Had to go out in the bush and cut 4 more cedar posts, 11 footers. Took me about an hour. So today I'm digging more holes and cementing in more posts. I got 4 more, and then all 10 posts are going to be in place and I can start building. Okay, finally got all 8 poles in. It took about a week longer than I expected. Some of the digging was pretty treacherous, as you can see. A lot of big rocks. But now that the poles are in, I'm going to give it my next days off. I'll probably start working on the framework. Got to order a load of gravel, and I'm going to top these holes up with gravel. So yeah, framing. I got to do the tie it all together at the top end, and then work on the bottom, and then there'll be rafters. Well, thanks for watching. Definitely come back and check it out. I'm going to do another video on the framing part and the rafters, and then I'll probably do a video on the roof and the walls, just to kind of show you how I go about making one of these pole barns. Anyways, thanks for watching.